Howdy, y'all. Welcome to Voicey here. This is your host, Sheriff Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called Guy Follows Us Around. So I've been listening to r/ read some interesting Reddit posts on YouTube for the last few days while I draw, mainly the entitled Parents Reddit, and I love him! I didn't know he also read from this sub until today. One of the stories reminded me of something that happened to a friend of mine and me a few months ago. Back in May, my friend/coworker and I had an overlapping day off. It didn't happen much since she tended to work the mid-shifts or closing while I worked openings or closings. So we were happy to take full advantage of it. We'd planned a few days prior to it since the manager was bad to shift days around or suddenly decide she was sick and call one or both of us in. I was the assistant, so I tended to be called first. So any plans we made before the actual day of were tentative at best. We settled on going to McDonald's in fancy clothes because nothing seemed more fun than dolling up to eat McNuggets. Around 1, she stopped by my house and the two of us looked like we were going out to some high-class steakhouse. She was wearing faux pearls and a black ruffle skirt with a cute top while I wore one of those shawl-type dresses in lilac. It was a fun lunch and a nice break from retail hell. After we finished off our fries, she asked if there was anywhere else we could go. Why not the craft store?
Oh yeah, I have a coupon for some canvases and I really want to start painting again.
She has such a cute little girl voice. We head out to the shop that's right across from where we work. Now, we're still dressed nice and the store's uniform are a shade of green with black or khaki pants. They also wore aprons or vests with the store's name somewhere on them, plus name badges. We walk in to see that they still have some of their spring merchandise, which included bubble wands. The two of us may have been 20-somethings, but you can't tell me some of you wouldn't jump at the chance to get 20 bubble wands for $5. And I'm talking the big ones. So we start grabbing them and looking for a basket. The clerk near us was grinning and shaking her head. We cleared them out with plans to hit up the park down the street after this. So, once we left the display empty, we headed towards the back where they kept the canvases. There was some sign on the door saying something about the spring sale. So we figured we'd find her stuff, then work our way around the store. This was when I noticed a man a few aisles over looking at some glass jars. He looked at me and kinda half-waved. I smiled and looked away as we kept walking. Now, the whole time, the two of us are talking about everything from her obsession with Pokemon Go, to my cats doing something stupid, to a discussion about us heading into the slow season at our store. The conversation is peppered with wildly inappropriate words we'd never use in our own store. I think we actually made a couple genital jokes about the fake flowers in aisle past the glass jars. So we find the canvases at the main back of the store, and I don't know anything about them. I draw either in sketchbooks or digitally. I also don't paint. Too messy. But my friend is scoping them out while I hold the bubble wands. I notice the guy around the corner and look around. When he sees us, he puffs up his chest and makes a rush towards us. I don't like people. I've learned how to handle them as the assistant manager in my job because I'm paid to. Outside of work, I'm happy just floating through existence with minimal interaction. Which isn't to say I'm outright rude. I respond to greetings by other clerks or if someone asks me if I could reach something off of a shelf or an opinion on an item. But I don't linger. I respond, tell them to have a good day, and walk off. This guy had that intense look in his eye as he stopped right in front of us.
Hey, there you went.
Hi? I'm wondering at this moment if I know the guy. We see all sorts in our store, so it's possible he recognizes me, but I don't him.
It was rude of you to just run off when I waved at you.
Well, we needed to find the canvases. I gestured to my friend, who turned around. She was wearing a lanyard for her keys because she's the kind of person who will leave them in the ignition or on her seat while the car then locks. And we did, so.
Well, I need your help picking out a vase for my wife. I figure a girl is better at it than I am.
We both look at him. He is an older guy, so we assume he's an older generation sexist. But being as semi-nice as she is, my friend opts to help him. So we go back to the glasses where she picks out a very nice one for him and we start to head off.
Oh, one more thing, girls. Can you tell me where the watercolor paints are?
No, sorry, but there's a service desk right there. You can ask someone there.
Guy's face shifts into something irritated. He huffs,
Why do I have to ask them when the two of you are standing right here? Why can't you just show me?
because we don't know where they are?
Well, it's good you're honest about not paying attention to your store, but that's a poor excuse for an employee.
My friend and I both look at each other, then back at him.
We don't work here, sir.
Then why are you wearing one of those badgy things, huh?
And he turned to me.
And where's yours?
You mean my key lanyard? This has my keys.
Guy rolled his eyes.
Yeah, right. I'm going to ask for the manager and report you.
Okay, but they'll tell you that we don't work here.
And we walked away. We wandered towards the other half of the store while he headed for the desk. We figured it would be solved until about 5 minutes later. The guy came around the corner and stopped to smile at us with smug satisfaction.
I talked to your manager and he wants you to come to the front right now.
It reminded me of a kid telling on someone else, then bragging how the teacher was going to punish them.
We don't have to go anywhere. We don't work here.
Not for long, you won't.
I was trying to figure out why this guy wasn't understanding that we were shoppers. We looked nothing like the workers in the store, and even if we did, clearly our dress at the time would have said we were off the clock. Not many people I've met who work the floor in retail come in wearing their good dress clothing, or at least no open-toed shoes. Drop a KitchenAid on your foot once, guarantee you will never do it again. Listen, dude, we don't work here. We're trying to shop, so leave us alone. And I took my friend by the arm and we headed down towards another aisle. We need to leave.
Employees shouldn't be allowed to shop during store hours. It doesn't make it fair for the customers since you get all the huge discounts.
We do not get huge discounts at our store. We get 20%, which is just 10 extra over customer discounts. We ignore him and start looking for an open register. Guy is following us the whole time, going on about how all young people working retail were rude and lazy and that they were why the economy was so bad. When we found an open register, I slung the basket of wands onto the counter and made eye contact with the clerk. It was the one we saw earlier.
Did you ladies find everything else all right?
Oh, yes, we did. Too much. And I hooked my thumb behind me as the guy followed us into the line.
You need to call the manager right now. Your coworkers are the most disrespectful girls I have ever been serviced by.
Yes, he actually used those terms. The clerk looked confused and shook her head, telling him we didn't work there. He threw his hands in the air and yelled,
What did I expect? Come into a store only women work at. Call your manager now.
So the clerk picked up the wall phone and dialed the number. A minute or two passed before a young man came over. He introduced himself as the manager, and both my friend and I recognized him as one of our regulars across the street. He smiled at us and asked what was wrong.
You have two very rude employees. They refuse to help me, refuse to wear the name badges, and why are they out of uniform?
Sir, neither of them work here. They work at the kitchen store across the way. The guy glared at the manager and took the glass vase we had helped him find and slammed it on the counter. It broke. He didn't even seem to notice though, so props for his commitment to being a jerk.
I have never had worse customer service, and I went to China once. How dare you let these little girls run rub-shuck over you?
No one's running anything. I was going to just ask you to leave, but since you broke merchandise, you're gonna have to pay for that.
As if this place is a joke.
That may be, sir, but you're going to have to pay for that.
And he waved over a security guard. The guy was quickly ushered out of the line and down towards their office. The manager turned around with a sigh.
Hey, is that all you guys are getting?
We nod.
Here, give them my discount. You guys always have that hot sauce I like.
We thank him and the clerk and head out to the car to decompress before going to find that park. We went through 3 wands in that afternoon. And I kept a whole box of the hot sauce under the register for the craft store manager. Okay, first off, I really like their idea of what fun is, because all they really need is just to hang out and just do stupid stuff, and that's fun for them. And I really appreciate that. Second, while I'm not gonna deny that guy was obviously sexist to a large degree, but I feel like it's not sexist to say, hey, I'm looking for a thing for my wife, and you guys are women too, so maybe you can help me out. Plus, I don't think it's inaccurate, much less sexist, to say that more women tend to have an eye for, aesthetics and decor as opposed to guys. However, that guy definitely flipped it around and ensured that girl was not wrong. God, that was bad. This story's called I Don't Work Here, I Work in a Different Store Several Hundred Miles Away. I work in a supermarket in the UK, specifically Scotland. Our uniform consists of a pale blue polo, dark blue trousers, and a dark blue fleecy jacket. I had booked a few days off work in May 2019 to go down to a city in England to attend a couple of different cons that were happening the same weekend. I had packed my work fleece because I couldn't find another jumper to take and thought it wouldn't matter if I wore it outside of work. I was wrong. I arrived in the city where the conventions were taking place on the Friday, and when I got there, it was bucketing with rain, and I got lost trying to find my hotel, and by the time I got there, the jumper I was wearing was soaked through, even through my raincoat. So after showering and changing into dry clothes, I went in search of food. After my meal, I decided to pick up some stuff for breakfast since the hotel I was staying at charged £8 for what was cereal, milk, and a carton of orange juice. I managed to buy an entire box of cereal, 2 cartons of milk, and a big carton of fruit juice for the same price in a shop near where I went for food that I knew could last me my trip. And I had gotten plastic bowls and a spoon from Poundland, or UK Dollar Tree. I went back to my room to drop my stuff off and decided I wanted a few beers for my room since it would be cheaper than going to a bar, and I had my laptop so I could sit and watch Netflix and chill. Here's when things go from bad to worse to, well, amusing. So I went to go get some beer in my work jacket because it was semi-waterproof. I am, however, wearing gray jeans, blue trainers, and an Iron Maiden t-shirt. I ended up going into a branch of the company I worked for, mainly because it was a big-ish store and I thought it would have a good selection. I go inside and head straight for the beer aisle, and before I could take the escalator to get there, a worker asked when I started my shift, and I was confused and went, the uniform, and said I don't actually work here. I work in a store in Scotland and I'm on holiday, and my other jumper was soaked from the rain, so this is all I had. She smiled and apologized. I carry on to the beer aisle. I'm browsing the various bottled beer and try to decide what to buy. I have my headphones on with my music turned up as it normally stops people from bugging me. I select a few beers and head to the registers when a very angry-looking employee who looked like a manager storms up and pulls off my headphones and starts shouting at me. Let's call her, you guessed it, Karen.
Why are you not in proper uniform? Why are you wearing headphones at work? And why are you looking at beer instead of doing your job?
After checking if my headphones are okay, I put them around my neck and pull my phone out to pause my music before saying, sorry, but I don't work here. I work in, store name, in Scotland. I thought that she would take my word for it, but nope.
Beaver sausage, you work here and I am your manager, so I want you to put those beers back. Go home and get changed and come back for your shift in 20 minutes.
It was only 4:30 p.m., so I assume she wanted me to start at 5 p.m. Again, I say, I'm sorry, but I don't work in the store. I work in a different store in Scotland, which is at least 5 hours on a train from here, and I'm on holiday, so that's why I'm buying beer.
Then why are you wearing that jacket?
Me, slightly sighing and wishing I had just gone to the pub. I only wore it to pop in to get beer because I get a discount and I know that company name stocks specific beer in most of their stores. Karen was still not having it, so I decided to prove to her that I indeed did work in a store in Scotland, and I was, in fact, on holiday by saying, look, if you don't believe me, you can call my store and talk to the manager and ask them if my real name works there and is currently on holiday till Monday. And I gave her the number of the manager who was on duty that night, and she went away to make the phone call. Now, before she disappeared, I had frantically messaged a bunch of my colleagues telling them that the duty manager is going to get a call from a manager in a different store because she thought I worked there, and to give them a heads up. They informed me that it was the younger manager who was on duty, and after showing him the message I had sent, he was already in tears of laughter. For context, he is quite a chill manager and probably the best one to have gotten the call, because he is chill and he knew where I was and why I was there, because he had not only approved my holiday request, but also recommended a bar to go to. Karen comes back looking rather embarrassed and said in a much more professional voice,
I'm so sorry. Your manager did confirm that you do in fact work at the store and you are on holiday. In fact, he is going to call you later to discuss this. Is there anything I can help you with?
I declined and grabbed my beer and headed to pay. When I got back to my room, my phone rang, so I cracked a beer and answered. It was my manager and he was laughing his ass off that Karen had phoned him. I did explain that I had told both her and a different worker that I worked in a different store in Scotland and was on holiday, and Karen was the only one to not believe me, despite not knowing my name or even reconciling me. He did say it was silly to wear my work jacket outside of work, and I told him that I had done it before and it had never been an issue. He recommended I don't do it again and to enjoy my holiday. Safe to say, I don't ever wear my work jacket outside of work. Okay, first of all, the store is called Poundland? What? Why would you not take the chance to call it Pound Town? Think of all the cute, iconic, wholesome commercials you could have had in the early 2000s, man. Some bully-looking dude is like, hey, I'm gonna take you to Pound Town. And then they're like,
Oh no, please don't take me to Pound Town.
and then the bully could look menacing for a second and reel back for a punch, and then as soon as he swings forward, the fist, reaches the lens and it blacks out the screen, and then they reveal that they're in this beautiful, massive store called Pound Town, and the guy's like,
Oh my god, you took me to Pound Town. I thought you were gonna kick my ass.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.